In the heart of the Whispering Valley, where the river hummed a hurried song and the winds rushed through the tall grass, lived a little tortoise named Pip. While the other animals, the zipping hummingbirds, the racing rabbits, and the leaping deer, celebrated speed and agility, Pip was known for only one thing. He was the slowest creature in the entire valley. His small, emerald green shell was heavy, and his little legs moved with a careful, unhurried pace. He often felt a deep, quiet sadness, yearning to be fast, to be important, to feel like he truly belonged. Every year, an ancient ceremony was held at the foot of the great elder oak, the oldest tree in the forest. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, the oak would entrust a shimmering, fragile piece of the sunset to the fastest animal, to be carried to the far side of the valley, where it would help the sun rise the next day. This year, the hummingbird, a blur of motion and color, was given the task. But as he zipped off, the delicate orb of light wobbled and nearly fell. Its magic could not be rushed. With a sigh, the hummingbird returned, and the valley held its breath. Then, from the gnarled roots of the ancient oak, a gentle, wise voice echoed across the valley. The journey of the sunset is not for the swift. It is for the steady. Its light must be carried with care, not in a rush. The ancient branches of the oak stretched out and pointed to Pip. The other animals gasped. A nervous giggle rippled through the crowd of rabbits, but Pip's heart, which had been so small and sad, swelled with a new powerful feeling, purpose. With his head held high, he accepted the shimmering, magical orb. The moment it rested on his shell, a soft, warm light enveloped Pip, pushing back the deepening twilight. He took his first deliberate step. His journey began at the very moment the sun vanished from the sky. The path ahead was dark and full of tangled roots and thorny bushes, but the sunset orb on his shell cast a gentle glow, illuminating every little obstacle. He was slow, but he was incredibly careful. His shell brushed against the thorn, but he took an extra second to adjust his path. A stone rolled under his foot, and he paused to find his balance. The other animals had only seen the destination, but Pip saw every single step of the way. With every slow, sure movement, the sadness in his heart was replaced by a quiet sense of duty. As he moved through the whispering forest, he heard a tiny whimpering sound. It was a little field mouse named Squeaky, who was lost and trembling with fear. "Oh, please," Squeaky cried, his whiskers twitching. "I can't see the path. The dark is so big." Pip, without a moment's hesitation, lowered his shell. The sunset orb's light spilled out, casting a comforting glow over the tiny mouse. "I am the guardian of the sunset," his voice said, a soft rumble. "You can walk beside me, and my light will keep you safe." Squeaky scurried alongside him, feeling warm and secure. The other animals would have rushed past, too focused on speed to notice. But Pip's slow pace allowed him to show compassion and kindness, a gift the fastest animal couldn't give. Soon, they reached the edge of a wide, rushing river. The water roared, and a swift-footed fox stood on the bank, frustrated. "The current is too strong," the fox yelped. "I cannot get across." Pip looked at the churning water, his heart pounding with fear. But he also looked at the precious glowing orb on his back. Its light pulsed, and he felt a surge of bravery. He gave a determined nod to Squeaky, who waved goodbye. Then, with a deep breath, Pip walked slowly into the rushing water. The river pulled at his shell, the current tugging at his legs. He was terrified, but his heavy shell and unhurried pace were his greatest strengths. He inched forward, one careful step at a time, his body a steady rock against the water's fury. The light of the sunset orb pulsed with his beating heart, showing him where to find his footing. Finally, he emerged on the other side. Dripping wet and exhausted, he crawled onto a stretch of soft, mossy earth. He was tired, but a deep sense of peace washed over him. He was no longer worried about being fast. He was simply doing what he was meant to do. He looked up at the sky, a velvety blanket of 1,000 stars. The orb on his back seemed to hum a gentle, comforting song, and the stars twinkled just for him, like they were cheering him on. He had been so focused on proving his speed, but he had discovered something better. His slowness had given him a quiet strength he never knew he had. As the sky began to turn from black to a deep indigo, Pip saw the finish line, a great ancient rock at the very edge of the valley. He put every ounce of his remaining strength into those final steps. His little legs ached, but his heart was full. He reached the rock just as the first sliver of dawn appeared. With a final triumphant push, he placed the sunset orb on the stone. It pulsed with a brilliant glow, and then, in a spectacular explosion of color, merged with the rising sun. The sky burst into a breathtaking sunrise of 1,000 fiery shades, more beautiful than anyone in the valley had ever seen. The animals who had been waiting gasped in awe. They had thought the journey was a race, but they finally understood. The great elder oak's voice once again whispered on the wind. The journey of the sunset is not about how fast it can be delivered, but how much care is taken along the way. Pip's slowness was not a weakness. It was his superpower. He had delivered the sunset not just on time, but with kindness, bravery, and a steady heart. From that day on, Pip was a hero. He was still the slowest, but he was no longer sad. He knew his value, and he walked with a new sense of purpose and pride. The other animals learned that the most important journey is not the one you finish the fastest, but the one you take with the most care. The moral of Pip's story is that your greatest strength is often found in the very things that make you different. True greatness comes from embracing who you are, not from trying to be like everyone else.